Hello everyone and welcome back. We're going to be doing a video on a different subject this time. This summer I am doing an internship, and that means I've kind of been displaced. I've had to move my stuff around. I've still been painting, of course, but it hasn't been the same, and I've been pretty busy, so I've struggled to get videos out regularly. So instead, I realized I would take a break. I would do some filming, and I'd be working on the regular A Song of Ice and Fire stuff. But I wouldn't be able to put out videos for the time being. But as August rolls around and the months after that, I'll be able to get back on schedule. So today, I'm putting out a different kind of video. This is more of just a kind of general recommendations video. I found this helpful because as I've been going through the A Song of Ice and Fire kit, I was very excited. I've been working through the miniatures, but of course, even if you're excited about something, it's still a really big project. I mean, I got 4 units done, some basing done, and two characters, and I've already started to feel kind of a bit of a burnout on it. I'm still really excited about doing the rest, but it's the road's going to be very long. So I decided I would kind of take a break from that. So I bought a Lannister Halberdiers kit, and I just practiced non-metallic metal. And I found I felt even less motivated to paint. I finished those miniatures, like getting all those metal bits done, and I wasn't particularly happy with the final project. I also bought this Plague Marine. It was just some kind of character from my local hobby store, and it was $25, but I felt it was worth it because I got to mix the kit around a bit, and it felt like I wasn't pressured to do anything. There wasn't the responsibility of, I'm going to be putting this out. This is like a personal display piece for myself. So I decided it would be a nice break, and it would be a nice change of pace. And I learned a lot from this. Not just about myself, about technical skills. I wanted to do a really good job with this mini, and I felt without the pressure, I was always worried about doing a sloppy job with the other miniatures, but then as time wore on, I got more and more frustrated, and you try and kind of ease yourself back into it if you're not really feeling it. But it was definitely a struggle for a while, and with this miniature, I felt like I was just going through the paces. I wasn't thinking about the techniques, I was just applying them, and I felt like it was turning out really well. I would just look at something and be surprised how well it turned out, and I felt it was because I wasn't consciously thinking about the technique. I had watched so many videos on it and absorbed so much information, and practiced enough where I was just working through it, and I was just feeling it. So I feel like it's very important to sometimes kind of remove yourself from the regular pace. So let's say you got into a historical game, you have to paint 100 British Musketeers or something like that, and you're going through the paces and you're not happy with the paint job. You feel like you're getting sloppy, or you feel like maybe you're forgetting it, and part of it might be just some kind of frustration that you're not really taking into account. So that's why when I was doing this Marine, it's not really my top pick. I'm not really much of a chaos player, but I just picked it up because I felt like, you know what, it's something very different. I'm not a death metal, got skulls and blood kind of person, but I was like, let me try out this different thing, and it got me excited about painting because you can just do a single model, you get results pretty quickly, and it felt good, and it's made me excited to paint again because I feel like, I know what I'm doing. Um, and I did similar non-metallic metal techniques, but I decided, I'm gonna play with it. There's no pressure here. I'm just gonna try something else, and I'm finding, it's kind of interesting to learn about, how washes will affect, all these different paints I'm using, and it just feels, good to be able to play, and use it for fun. And I think I have to take a different approach when it comes to painting my other miniatures. So when I get back into it, I'm going to be doing the Umbers, and the Mountains Men. And what I need to do is have a little more fun with it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It should be random. Like, especially this miniature, the dude's supposed to be oozing with pus and spotted. So as painful as it was, I made these beautiful blends, and I just started dotting these little wash. I took a wash, just started adding little speckles to it, so it had this kind of like, dried paint effect where there's kind of these little dirt patches, and it really kind of adds character to the model. And I realized I'm going to have to do the same thing to these models I'll be painting in the future. And you have to get over that fear. You have to say, I don't need to hold it like it's made. I don't need to paint it like it's made of glass. I don't need to be scared about messing it up, just because it's not something people are necessarily going to notice, and it's something that you're not necessarily going to notice again. You might say, oh, I messed up the blend a little bit. The person's covered in scratches and dents. It's really about learning and enjoying the process, and that's something I have to reconnect. And you can do that by maybe doing something crazy. So you're painting that 100 something miniatures, you have half of them to go. Maybe just buy a dinosaur or something, or a dragon, or some kind of crazy mini, and then paint it up and just have fun with it. Just say, what, this might be expensive model, it could be cheap, and you just hit it with dry brushes and washes, and you just go wild, and you can have some crazy results, and just have a laugh with it, instead of feeling this pressure. And maybe you're in a different position where you're you're just painting, and you don't really care if the model looks great or not. You just kind of want it on the table. But if you're feeling like that, it's just frustrating. You painted so many Lannisters and you're tired of the Lannister red, then pick up some kind of skeletal horde. Well, not a horde, of course, but maybe some kind of skeletal lord or something like that, and just do some crazy purples and blacks and browns and greens or something like that. Really really enjoy the process. This is supposed to be fun, so try and find the fun in it. And I found that I've been missing that for a little bit, but the excitement's coming back, and I definitely want to start pushing forward with the next set of minis. It's definitely a motivation issue, and I know I'm gonna paint them, but the how well you paint them depends on, I think, a lot of factors. And there's the tools and the paints involved, of course, but there's also, your attitude towards it. If you're feeling angry, then maybe you're not going to do a good of a job. You're not going to really notice your mistakes. You're going to say, okay, it's fine. But, after working through this mini for, a day or so, I would hold it up and say, like, maybe I should add more contrast. It's okay to criticize yourself. Sometimes I would feel like I have to get this mini done with this certain deadline, and I kind of just said good enough is good enough. But sometimes, you want to be able to enjoy it. So when you do criticize yourself, you can take it lightly and say, all right, I'll just add a little more contrast. Oh, I just missed a spot there. Instead of saying like, oh my goodness, there's more work to do. If you enjoy the process, then, you're happy there's more work to do. So take that into consideration. If you find yourself saying like, oh, I missed that spot, and you're just seething, you feel like, this is just such a annoyance, then maybe you should consider, why am I so angry right now? It's likely because, there's a certain feeling or attitude behind it that is just kind of changing the way you're approaching your paint job and what you feel when you paint your models. And I feel definitely, it's something you have to consider is, why are you doing this in the first place? I mean, you don't have to go that deep into it or be that philosophical, but in the end, it's about, having a good time. And, you want to be a good miniature painter, and there's going to be challenges, and, you want to do well, you want to learn and grow, and it can be challenging, but I think it should always be fun. Sometimes it'll be less fun. Some days will be less interesting and fun than others, but, if you feel like you're doing a certain technique and it's just dull and takes so much time, then maybe just buy a mini and say like, I want to try something else, try something faster. Just do a dirty and quick job and see if that looks as good and takes half the time, and, I have a lot more fun doing it, then, play with it. If you're worried about, ruining your models, then, find something you won't care about, and just roll with it. And the thing is, like, I came in saying, well, this mini was $25, but I kind of just tossed that to the side and said, I'm going to have fun with it. I kind of had a few doubts when I was chopping it up and kind of switching some pieces around. But I realized it's better this way. It's better if I kind of, lose all the doubts and lose all these misgivings about the model. So that's what I did. I just kind of rolled with it and just painted it and, worked through it. And I found I was very happy with the model, and I found that I really had a great time. Every day I felt I was accomplishing a lot, instead of, oh, finally these miniatures are done, and there's like some kind of empty feeling there. You don't want that empty feeling. You want a sense of accomplishment and a sense of joy when you paint. And I don't know how, I kind of came to that, but I think through this process of just me taking a nice long break over the 4th of July, I found that I simply just, kind of reset, and I'm ready to go again, ready to paint all those fur cloaks and all those people. So maybe what you want to do is, if you feel like that's a distraction and you have to keep working on your army, I think it's fine to change it up. Like, let's say you bought four units, Lannister Guardsmen. Maybe you do a unit and then paint Tywin Lannister. You do another unit, you paint Tyrion, and you kind of bounce around a bit. You're still making progress through your army, but you could just be doing something like that where you say like, oh, I'm never going to put Maggie Mormont on the table or something. Well, then just try something exciting, just say like, I want to do this. And then you find, I really love this paint job, I want to show it off. So maybe you will play her. It's that kind of mindset of, picking your plan and the miniatures you're going to paint, and kind of deciding where you want to go with it. And I feel part of that journey, that journey can be made a lot easier if you find techniques that are faster, you find techniques that are a lot less tiring, and you have fun.